freedom leaving.
Since I became Prime Minister, I've said we must get on and get Brexit done on October the 31st so that this country can move on.
Sir, my amendment is that Mr. President should be invited to come and explain the situation.
For the Nigerian government to stop killing its people and
Anchor on the facts, breaking news and in-depth interviews on a wide range of topics.
Atlantic Television Network, home for in-depth reportage, facts, professionalism, all the news you need. Atlantic Television Network. Atlantic Television Network.
Atlantic Television Network, anchoring facts.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring all sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today. Only on ATN.
Welcome to yet another exciting edition of Atlantic Sports Extraordinary. And on this edition of Sports Extraordinary, a Nigerian swimmer breaks 14-year-old national record, and 10 Nigerian athletes rule out of the Olympic Games. On our special Olympic tidbits, judo coach reprimanded for slapping athlete twice. 3 Nigerians up for selection in the NBA draft. Aqua United just a point away from the first Nigerian Professional Football League for the club side. Details of this and many more will be yours on this edition of Atlantic Sports Extraordinary. That will be just as we return from a very short break. Welcome back, and it is Atlantic Sports Extraordinary on this day where we look at the latest developments around Team Nigeria and, of course, Team Africa and, of course, the rest of the world that is at the Olympic Games. Talking about the Olympic Games, Nigeria has been at the Olympic Games for a record 69 years. Yes, because Nigeria first participated at the Olympic Games in 1952, and this is the 69th year where Nigeria is participating at the Olympic Games, and in all of these 69 years, we've gathered just a paltry 25 medals. Of these 25 medals, 3 are gold colored. And our chances of making more gold or more medals at the Olympic Games looks slimmer and dim, but we see how it pans out because there have been some developments around it. But first, let's bring you what excites Nigerians on the national scene and not on the local scene, which is the fact that a 17-year-old Nigerian swimmer, Habibat Abiola Ogumbawo, recorded the country's second win at the ongoing Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games after claiming victory in heat 1 of the women's 100 meters freestyle in a time of 59.74 seconds. That's clearly under a minute. Merit, the last time we saw this kind of performance, that was a minute in freestyle, was 14 years ago. Ngozi Monu really put that record under a minute. No, sorry, in a minute.
In a minute, yes.
But now we've seen someone that has brought it down under a minute. Sharing news for Nigeria, but like I said, it is national and not international, which has to do with the Olympics.
It's a national record, and it's a good one. I was. I shouldn't say overjoyed, but I was happy when I saw the results from Heat 1 in the women's freestyle 100 meters yesterday. Habibat Ogumbawo, definitely the most inexperienced of the 4 swimmers in the pool at the Tokyo Aquatic Center, but she came out on top in Heat 4. Although the time wasn't enough to get her to the semi-finals, but then she achieved what she set out to do. She came into the Olympic Games wanting to achieve, she hoped to achieve a new national record in the 100-meter freestyle at the Olympic Games, and that is what she did. The former record was a minute, and she swam under a minute. That's quite an achievement for the 17-year-old at her first ever Olympic Games. It's something that she can be proud of. When you come to an Olympic Games as a teenager, as a 17-year-old, yes, you hope to win medals if fortune favors you, but then the most important thing for these teenagers is the participation, to get the experience, to get the feel of what the Olympic Games look like, because it's really competitive at the Olympic Games. You get to see the highest level of competition from all the athletes, world-class athletes, not just your mates from the swimming club, not just your mates from the athletics club or the athletics gym. You get to see world-class athletes that have won world championships, that have won Olympic Games, and then you get to feed off of their experience. You get to take it all in, just get that experience under your belt, and that is what she's done. She came in not with the high hopes of winning. She came in with the hopes of representing Nigeria, which she has done, the hopes of making Nigeria proud, which for many of us, we are proud of her getting that new national record, and most importantly, that new national record. It is something that she can build on going forward, and it is something that is exciting for us Nigerians, because finally it looks like we have something good when it comes to swimming.
We're talking about swimming, and we have a 17-year-old that has created a national record, not just in the 100 meters freestyle. She has a national record in the 400 meters freestyle as well, and the 200 meters breaststroke national record. And so I think she's making proud of herself. We know that you are disappointed that she's not made an advance at the event at the Olympic Games, but she's just 17. So the chances are that she has at least 5 more Olympics, on her belt, given that she's properly prepared ahead of the Olympic Games. We look forward to seeing her at France 2024. And talking about Team Nigeria at the Olympic Games, today is day 6 at the Olympic Games after I think the opening ceremony, and there will be no action today where Nigerians will participate. We are hoping that there will be action on Friday because that is where we will see where the hope of Nigerians are. We have about 12 athletes that have been cleared, in the track and field, and track and field really heat one really gets started tomorrow. But in the early hours of tomorrow, that's about 12:15 a.m. Esther Toko will be in action, and this will not be in the track and field. It will be in the rowing events.
It will be in rowing events, one of the other aquatic sports that Nigeria is participating in at the Olympics game.
And the very first time we are doing that at the Olympic Games.
The very first time we are in rowing at the Olympic Games. We still have another athlete who will be competing in canoeing at the Olympic Games. So it's not the best, not the event we would have loved to see our very own Esther Toko competing for the medals in the semi-finals of the medal contest in rowing, but unfortunately, because of the result, she will be taking part in the final E, and that means that she has the chance of improving on our world rankings. No medal at stake. I know when a lot of people hear about the finals, it looks like there are medals up at stake, but for these particular events that comes up as early as 12:15 a.m. tomorrow morning, there will be no medal at stake, but she has the opportunity to improve on our world ranking, which could be vital going forward in world championships.
No member of the Team Nigeria contingent is taking part in any sports today at the Olympic Games, but we've told you in the early hours of tomorrow morning, Esther Toko will be taking part in rowing just to improve on our ranking, in the sports. But still, tomorrow at about 9:20 a.m. we'll have the women basketball team, the Tigress, in action. And after the first game, they have a chance to bring themselves to some level of respect.
They have a chance to bring themselves, like you said, to some level of respect. And I just hope they do not go toward the line of their male counterparts, who we thought after the first game could be able to get something good in the second game, but then still lost in the second game. We just hope that the Tigress will pick up from where they left off in the first game and carry on against France in the second game. France, they're not easy opponents. No team at the Olympic Games is an easy opponent because they've come through qualifiers, the series of qualifiers, and then that's why they're here, because they were better than their counterparts. Now, from what we saw in game one, it was a narrow loss to the USA. It's still a loss, but it was a narrow loss to the USA. And there were a lot of aspects of our games where we played really well. We got some records against the American team that no other team in women's basketball at the Olympic Games has achieved. So it's we can take comfort in that. But it would make no sense. It will all be to naught if we do not win against France. If we can win against France, gives us the opportunity to progress further into the tournament. But if we don't, then it makes our chances as slim as the male counterparts.
The Tigress in action tomorrow morning by 9:20 a.m. and they'll be up against France. And the need for us is a must-win to at least put the team to some knockout stage or crucial stage of the football event at the ongoing Tokyo Olympic Games. And still to look about how Nigeria events for tomorrow. We have the first of the actions in the athletics event, because the mixed 4x400 meters relay team will take part in heat 1 at noon tomorrow. What do you make of this one? Nigerians' hope is basically in athletics. Like I mentioned in the intro, we have a situation where there have been 25 medals in all of the 69 years Nigeria has participated at the Olympic Games. And of these 69 medals, 13 has come from the track and field. And it looks like our fourth. So when Nigeria participates at the track and field, you look forward to at least a medal, no matter the color. And so now for the first one, we're having heat 1, where it will be a mixed race of the male and female team.
Yeah, when it comes to track, we were waiting for this moment, Nigeria and of course Africa as well, waiting for this moment, because we know that when it comes to the track and field events, we get to see a lot of African participation and representation, of course. And like you said, majority of our medals have come from track and field. You mentioned earlier that we've won just 3 gold medals at the Olympic Games. 2 of those 3 golds have come from track and fields as well. And going to the Olympic Games, we have some of the best competitors in track and field. Blessing Okagbare, one of the top athletes in the world, not just in Africa, now in the world. We have a Tobi Amusan, who is ranked in the top 4 when it comes to 100-meter hurdles in the world, and also Ese Brume, who's one of the best long jumpers and triple jumpers in the world currently. So we're excited, looking forward to the track and field. Fortunately for us, these elite athletes are cleared to compete. And starting from tomorrow, where we'll see the 4x400-meter mixed relay team. It's not a very popular one when it comes to track and field. We usually get to see the sprints and the 4x100-meter relays. But this 4x400-meter relays, we have a good representation at the Olympic Games. Thankfully, all of them are cleared to compete. And for the very first time, we'll see our athletes on the tracks tomorrow. We just hope that they end in a good time so that they qualify for the quarterfinals.
Talking about Nigeria's event tomorrow at noon, it will be 4x400 meters mixed relay, and we have Imabong Uko as representing the female, and Patience Okon George will be the second female in that mixed race. We told you it's 4x400, and so there's Nathaniel Sampson for the male, and there is Ifeanyi Ojeli as well, Ojeli, to complete the quartet for that 4x400 mixed relay. And we'd like to wish them the best of luck tomorrow, because this is where our hope lies, and we need to really get started proper in Heat 1. Let's get you some more news from around the Olympic Games, and this is not very cheering at all, because 10 Nigerian athletes have been ruled out of the Olympic Games. Talking about 10 Nigerian, they can no longer participate. They are completely ineligible to participate at the ongoing Tokyo Games, and they have been stopped by the Athletics Integrity Unit of the world's body. This is completely reducing our chances. We understand this news came in very late, couple of hours ago, and it's very disturbing that 10 of our athletes will not be taking part. There's what they call the Category A countries, and Nigeria, incidentally, is among the 7 Category A countries, just countries where they have a very high chance of doping. And now 10 of our athletes will not be taking part. This looks like some degree of negligence, if you ask me. Why send them to Tokyo if you know they were not eligible?
Maybe they were hoping that the system in Tokyo will be as similar to the Nigerian system, where you can go through the back door almost every other time. And unfortunately for them, they were dealt with the reality of Tokyo, the organizers in Tokyo not being the same as what we see from the organizers of the games here in Nigeria. It's really disgraceful. It's very disappointing.
Yes, talking about disgrace and disappointing, these 10 athletes have been stopped by the Athletics Integrity Unit because they didn't take, or they didn't complete their no notice out of competition test. That's what they call the no notice out of competition. They won't give you notice. They will just stop you by take your urine sample, take your blood sample for a test to see whether you have anything in your system, and you have a couple of days period, 3 weeks duration between one test and the other. And ahead of a world championship or a major event like the Olympics, you must complete 3 of those tests within a short period of about 10 months. From information I've gathered, we understand we have done 2 of these tests and 1 was still outstanding. Why was this one outstanding?
Like you said, negligence from the organizers. We've gone through a lot of issues when it comes to sports in this country, and it's sad to see that the issues are not dying off. They're not abating anytime soon. We've had issues in our football. There was a power tussle in football for the presidency of the NFF. We've had issues with our basketball that has completely destroyed Nigerian basketball, if you ask me. The issues, again, concerning the presidency of the Nigerian Basketball Federation. Now, again, issues concerning the presidency of the Nigeria Athletics Federation. And when you start getting those issues, the house is not together. A lot of people you don't even know who is the president. You don't even know who is supposed to relate with the Athletics Integrity Unit, and these kind of messages get passed on to the athletics federations in the countries. They get notified from time to time for them to keep tracks with their athletes and to check if they have completed the 3 out of competition test. They receive those mails from the Athletics Integrity Unit and also from the organizers of major competitions like the IOC for which your athletes are entered into. And then if these messages are sent across, I believe it's not just to Nigeria, it's down to every athletics federation, every national athletics federation competing at the games. And then if these messages were sent and the tests were not complete, someone has to be blamed.
I'm really disappointed, but if you look at it, I was feeling elated, just before the Olympic Games proper, when we were looking at actions, preparations by the Athletics Federation of Nigeria. There was the appointment of Dr. Ken Nokuje, and he's a professor in the University of Port Harcourt, as the head of the doping unit for Nigeria. He's the head of medicine for the AFN and, of course, the head of the anti-doping commission. One would have expected that this commission, headed by Professor Ken, should have ensured that all of these athletes are completely, they've met the standards for competition. Talking about doping-wise.
Yeah, that's how it's supposed to be. If things are done properly, that is how it's supposed to be.
If the appointment was made a couple of months before the Olympic Games, yes, and we expect that all of this should have been checked and rechecked.
All of this should have been checked and rechecked, but then you also have to remember, like you said earlier on, these tests have to be completed in a space of 3 weeks between each other and 10 months to a major competition. And then I don't think it's been up to 10 months since he was appointed. So we can cut him some slacks when it comes to that. But then who was there before him? What was the system like before him? It was hardly functioning. We know that we have a sports minister, Sunday Dare, who is trying to put things back together when it comes to our Nigerian sports. But the Athletics Federation of Nigeria, because of the power tussle between, I think, Okowa and the former incumbent there, we even had, at some point this year, a couple of weeks ago or months ago, we had separate elections, one in Abuja, one in another state in Nigeria, just for the power tussle. And it seems like our sports administrators, that's all they care about: who is in charge, who gets to call the shots, who runs the show, not about doing things properly. The sad thing is, I feel really bad for the athletes. Most of them, or some of them, are college athletes, collegiates in the United States of America.
Athletes, they are alternate, athletes, and of course, like you mentioned, they are in foreign, athletes that are in college, in the United States of America and across Europe as well. And so they had actually done some of these tests. Like I mentioned, out of 3, most of them, we understand, have done 2. But the issue here is that there's the problem that their samples did not meet, and their samples and analysis did not meet the standard required by the WADA and, of course, the Athletes Integrity Unit.
Back to where it all started, when Nigeria was placed in the category A list. Nigeria has no business being in the category A list, because the World Anti-Doping Agency and the Athletics Integrity Unit put you in the category A list because of your poor history when it comes to drug use and use of performance-enhancing drugs. We've not had that in Nigeria. We've had our athletes compete fairly. We've had our athletes compete clean. Why we're on that list is because of the poor standard of our testing over the years. And because of that, when you have a poor standard in testing continuously, it looks like you're trying to hide something. And so they put you in that list just to put more scrutiny on your athletes and then do more proper testing. It means that for a period of time leading up to 2020, when Nigeria was put in that list, we weren't having proper tests. We weren't conducting our doping tests properly. We weren't meeting up to the required standards by the World Anti-Doping Agency and the Athletics Integrity Unit. That is why we were put there in the first place. And that's why I'm really blaming the predecessors, the former handlers of the doping control units in the Athletics Federation Unit, and of course the leadership of the Athletics Federation Unit. It is because of their negligence, because they failed to do their duties properly. Now we are seeing a reprise. We are seeing it now affecting athletes who have sacrificed time they would have been in school. They've tried to do something very difficult, combining school with athletics, qualifying for the Olympics, many of them for the very first time, only to be told that because of someone's negligence a couple of years back, you cannot compete at the Olympic Games. It's really sad.
Talking about negligence, you need to know that Nigerians have been very, very culpable, because we saw a situation where a whole team is not at the Olympic Games because of technical error of just putting cone to where this event will take place. We remember the 4x100 meters
women's team.
They are not at the Olympics. They actually qualified, but because cones were not put where they were qualifying, that's why they are not there. And this is clear another case of negligence, as alluded to there by my in-house analyst Merit. Well, this is the sad news about these 10 Nigerians that's not been cleared by the AIU, that's the Athletes Integrity Unit. Now, we have only 2 athletes in the 4x100 meters relay event for men, meaning that we just can't enter because you're supposed to be 4 athletes, but in the 4x100 meters men, now we have only 2 cleared, and the other 2 is not cleared. Very sad.
Very sad. That means another medal prospect gone. Remember, we won we won gold in Sydney 2004 by 400 meters men, and it shows you how favorably we compete when it comes to the relays. We have a strong thing in the relays. We've won medals, a couple of medals in the relays, 4x100, 4x400 meter relays, and we know how these guys qualified. They had to fight. They had to go at it over and over and over again for them to qualify. They finally qualified, and then because of someone else's negligence, they will not take part. Like you said, 2 members of the team, that's Divine Ododuru and Ishekiri Odise, they have been cleared, but the other 2 members of the team have not been cleared. That means you have an incomplete team. Automatic forfeiture, you cannot compete in the race. Another medal prospect gone for Nigeria. Another appearance, another opportunity to participate at the Olympic Games gone for the athletes, and it's really, really sad.
Well, if you do know members of the Team Nigeria contingent, we told you 10 have not been cleared, and because of that, a major event like the 4x100 meters men Nigeria will not participate in it, though we have some of the athletes there. Only 2 have been cleared. But talking about those that have been cleared, Blessing Okabere in the 100 meters and 200 meters has been cleared. You have Tochukwu, Toby Amuso cleared as well. He will be taking part in the hurdles event for men. Then there is a Brume for long jump. There is Grace Wokochai for the 100 meters female. There is Divine Oduru cleared. There is Enoch Adekoke cleared as well. There is Oshe Ishekiri cleared, and of course, we have Chukwu Ebuka cleared for short put. We have Imabong cleared for the 400 meters men. Patience Okon George female. There's Nathaniel Sampson as well. Then Ifeanyi Ojeli has been cleared. They are the 12 just cleared a couple of hours ago by the AII. That is the Athletes Integrity Unit. It's really, really sad. 20 athletes were not cleared, by the Olympics. I'm talking about the Athletes Integrity Unit. They did not clear 20 athletes generally amongst all the athletes at the Olympic Games, and it will disturb you to know that Nigeria accounted for 10 of these athletes out of 20 not cleared globally. Nigeria accounted for 10. The other countries who had some of their athletes disqualified are Belarus, Ukraine. We had 2, of course they had 3 each disqualified. That's Belarus had 3, Ukraine had 3. Kenya from Africa, of course, had 2 disqualified. Morocco and Ethiopia had 1 athlete each, sent packing from the Games Village because of not properly being cleared. And I think, I hope we can learn a lesson from this. Like I often say, if no one accepts responsibility for this negligence, then it will continue and continue and continue again. And while we'll continue with more stories coming to you from the Olympic Games, this time we'll stay away from Team Nigeria and we'll go to what I call Team Africa. Omar Assar has bowed out after reaching the quarter-final stage. We talked about him yesterday as the second African to enter into the quarter-final stage of the table tennis event at the Olympic Games, and he just couldn't go beyond the quarter-final merits.
Just couldn't go beyond the quarter-final, and he came up against the world champion, came up against the Olympic champion, and he came up against, should I say, the conqueror of Africa now, because the same man stopped Aruna Quadri in 2016 at the same quarter-final stage at the Rio Games in Brazil. Well, it's quite an achievement for Omar Assar. He's never been this far in the table tennis events at the Olympic Games. There's been only one African in the history of the Olympics to have reached this level, which was Aruna Quadri. And if you look back and remember that there were great, other probably better tennis players before him, you would understand how difficult it is when it comes to table tennis at the Olympic Games. It's basically a game that was founded by the Asians, and they've taken it upon themselves. If you look at the semi-final lineup for this year's Olympic Games in the men's singles table tennis event, all 4 participants are Chinese, and so that tells you the dominance that they've exerted over the years. Unfortunately for Omar Assar, he couldn't get past Ma Long. Ma Long is the defending champion, and he has progressed. He's now into the finals because he also won his semi-final match today, and he's into the finals trying to. That shows you the quality that what's his name now? Omar Assar came up against. Omar Assar is ranked world number 43, and when you're world number 43 coming up against the world champion, you know it's a tough task. We know that he's defeated the world number 27, world number 17 before now, but then it was a little bit too much. The quality that Ma Long brought was a little bit too much for for Omar Asa, and he had to bow. But I think he's proud from his interview. He's proud. He's done his nation well. For the first time, an Egyptian has reached the quarterfinals in table tennis at the Olympic Games. So I think it was a good one. Although he lost, still a good one for Omar Asa.
Talking about Omar Asa of Egypt, the second African to enter into the quarterfinal stage of the Olympic Games after Nigeria's Haruna Quadri entry into the quarterfinal stage of the Olympic Games. Well, we'll keep bringing you tidbits around the Olympic Games, and we'll take a short break at this point, but when we return, more of the tidbits around the Olympic Games and many other sports stories for you that is trending at this point in time. Welcome back. It's Sports Extraordinary here on Atlantic Television Network, and the defending champions in the football event at the Olympic Games, that's Brazil, into the quarterfinals of the men's football. Right now, we understand that they dispatched Saudi Arabia by 3-1 a couple of hours ago, and now they top that group. But the cheering news is that in the same group, we had an African representative, Cote d'Ivoire, and Cote d'Ivoire has moved on to the quarterfinal stage alongside Brazil. One
of the strongest teams at the tournament, Cote d'Ivoire, because they've shown character. When you come up against the defending champions and you don't lose, when you come up against powerhouses at the Olympic Games and you don't lose, that shows you that the team has a lot of quality.
They played all 3 games without losing any.
They've played all 3 games without losing any. They draw twice, and they won the first game against Saudi Arabia. They even draw against Brazil, which was a good result, if you ask me. And they're marching on. Likewise, Brazil are marching on into the quarterfinals, and it's going to be interesting from here on in. You know that the quote weaker teams are out of the group stages now. It is now business in the quarterfinals, and you know that you have just 1 game to get it right. In 90 minutes, if you don't get it right, you probably get extra time and then penalties. If you don't get it right, you're out of the competition for good. You don't get the second chance or the third chance at making things right. So this is the business end, and I just hope that Cote d'Ivoire, they can continue in the form that we've seen them display at the group stages in the quarterfinals, and hopefully we'll see how far they go.
Well, it is under 23 for the football event at Tokyo Olympic Games, and Mary did mention there. The boys have gone home, and the men are up to the semi-final stage and quarter-final stage, and one of them is Brazil, and Africa's representative, Cote d'Ivoire. Host Japan became the only side to win all 3 of their group games after they defeated France 4-0 in Yokohama, and will now have to face New Zealand. Do I say the fairy tale of New Zealand in the quarterfinals? New Zealand seems to have impressed quite a lot in this football event.
New Zealand have impressed. But on the other hand, one team that has not impressed at these Olympic Games is France. Losing the first game by 4-1 to Mexico, just about defeated South Africa 4-3 because of that sloppy last 10 minutes from the South Africans, and then losing in the final group stage game to Japan by 4-0. It is an embarrassing outcome for France, I can tell you that. They are the world champions at senior level, and they've competed favorably even at the age grade tournaments, in the European Championships, and even at the FIFA World Cups. Coming to the Olympic Games, you'd expect them to put up some up a fight. We know that Brazil are the defending champions, but you expect France to challenge for the title, to try and shrug it off of Brazil, but they completely collapsed. Aside that 1 win against South Africa, who were not in the best of form at the Olympic Games, France, it was really disappointing. But on the other hand, New Zealand, not the team you expect to make it out of the group stage. As a matter of fact, you expect them to finish bottom of the group, but they have shown that you don't write anybody off in sports, especially in football, where we get to see a lot of upsets these days. We usually know that Australia, they're quite good. They're a growing nation, a growing force when it comes to football, but not New Zealand. But then they're making a big statement at these Olympic Games, and anyone coming up against New Zealand have to take them seriously now, because they might be minnows, they might be the underdogs, but we all love an underdog story when they win.
Talking about making statement, one country that's at the football event at the Olympic Games that has not made any statement, if you want me to use that word, is South Africa. They lost all 3 of their group matches, especially in the last game. We saw them beating 3-0 by Mexico, and it looks very disturbing. And with Egypt, the other country representing Africa too, has put themselves in some kind of glory because they beat Australia 2-0, and of course qualify alongside the other African team, Cote d'Ivoire. So right now we had 3 teams. South Africa is gone home, while we still have Egypt and what do you call this other country now? Cote d'Ivoire still left in the race, and I think they are doing so well. But it looks like one of the African representatives have a very tough task in the quarterfinal. Egypt versus South Africa, versus Brazil.
Egypt versus Brazil. It's a tough one,
Very
like you
tough.
said. But we've seen this Egyptian side hold their own against Spain. Spain, you'd think you'd consider them one of the favorites at the tournament, and this Egyptian side, they've scaled through a group that had both Spain and Argentina, so it shows that they have some bit of quality in them. We just hope that will be enough to match the Brazilians. We know that the Brazilians at the Olympic Games, right now, they are the best team. Before 2016, they'd never won a gold medal at the Olympic Games. They won it at home, and they look to retain that title, doing it back-to-back. They look like a team on a mission, and we've seen from their results, barring for that game against Cote d'Ivoire, they've scored a lot of goals. They scored 8 goals in 2 fixtures. Richarlison getting 5 of those goals. So they have quality in their squad, a lot of quality in their squad. We just hope that the Egyptians will find the same form that they found against Spain, try to nullify the attack of the
Talking about Spain,
Brazilians.
Spain, they have the other African contingent to take. That's Ivory Coast in the quarterfinal. It looks like an even pairing, if you ask me.
An even pairing, and it's one that you can tip Ivory Coast to get the odd win over Spain, because they have shown quality. Spain, likewise, we know of the quality that they have in their ranks. When you have an Olympic team that features 6 players from the Euro 2020, which Spain got up to the semi-finals, you know that is a quality squad. Ivory Coast, on the other hand, they've shown that with the blend of youth and of experience, they have been able to come this far at the Olympic Games. So it's one that's going to be very exciting. It's difficult to really call which way it's going to go. But as an African, and hoping for better African representation, I think Ivory Coast, if they can keep their cool, the same way they did against Brazil, if they can put up that same performance, but being more clinical this time, I think they can get the win over Spain.
Which the African representative be a clinical performance, but that performance will have to be on Saturday, July the 31st. That is when the quarterfinal pairings in the male football event will take place. Then on Friday, July the 30th, we have the quarterfinal pairing at the female event at the football. That's we'll see Canada take on Brazil, Team Great Britain take on Australia, Sweden will take on Japan, and Netherlands take on the United States of America. What a pairing, if you ask me.
What a pairing, Netherlands versus the USA. It's going to be a cracking fixture. I would tip the Netherlands to go through. The Team USA, yes, the best team in the world. They are the world champions when it comes to women football, but they've not shown that same form at these Olympic Games. They've struggled to replicate the same form that saw them win the World Cup in 2019. On the other hand, the Netherlands are coming to the Olympic Games. They came into the Olympic Games for the first time, and like you said yesterday, they've already scored 21 goals in just 3 group stage fixtures. That tells you the quality in their ranks. They defeated China 8-2 just on Tuesday. And now they're coming up against the United States of America. They're not strangers to the United States of America. They played the USA in the finals of the FIFA World Cup in 2019. So this could be an opportunity for a reprisal. This could be a payback time for the Netherlands. And I expect them to go ahead and have the day against the Americans.
Let's bring you some more tidbits around the Olympic Games. And this time it is the fact that a Swiss sprinter, Alex Wilson, is out of the Tokyo Olympic Games after his provisional ban for anti-doping rule violation was reinstated with immediate effect. We've seen this Jamaican-born Wilson registered to compete in the 100 meters and 200 meters event, provisionally suspended by the anti-doping body in Switzerland in April. You know, we saw him for, of course, the same reason of not taking a test out of competition, and his appeal was reinstated. And now, Court of Arbitration of Sports is saying that is not correct. You have to stay out of the competition for at least 1 year.
This is in a bid to preserve the integrity of sports. We know how strict the World Anti-Doping Agency is when it comes to doping. Whether you fail the test or you have not completed your test, you get the same punishment.
But he's been banned. This ban, lifted by a disciplinary body that is based in Switzerland. Do you think because it's his home country, that's why Swiss Olympic body lifted the ban? But again, the Court of Arbitration is not based anywhere else than
Switzerland, of course. But then the Court of Arbitration, the Court of Arbitration supersedes.
It's a world body.
Yeah, supersedes every other body when it comes to things relating to sports. And like you said, the Swiss body, the Swiss Olympic Committee, they might have suspended the sentence of being banned from sports just in a bid to get him to the Olympic Games. We know that he is one of their strong forces. I think the only representation they have in the sprint, 100 meters and 200 meters, he was set to compete for Switzerland in 100 meters and 200 meters, and he looked like one that had a shot at the medal, even if not gold, but at least silver or bronze medal, and they wanted him to compete. His argument is it was unintentional. He consumed substance. The substance was included in the meat he ate in the United States of America. And then they might have looked at it and said, okay, it's not his fault, let's lift the ban. But you don't do that with WADA. You don't do that with the Court of Arbitration for Sports. Those kind of excuses are not permitted ever. When it comes to doping, when it comes to things concerning doping and anti-doping violations or not keeping up with the rules, then it's really strict with the World Anti-Doping Agency and with the Court of Arbitration for Sport. They have reinstated that ban. They have come out to say that he must serve that ban. And because of that, we won't see him at the Olympic Games. He's already in Tokyo, Japan, waiting for the track and field events to start this weekend for him to be able to compete and then maybe get to the finals. But then no show for Alexis. He will not take part at the Olympic Games.
We're still bringing you tidbits around the Olympic Games, and this time around, it is a bizarre story where a judo coach has been reprimanded for slapping an athlete. Because the judo's governing body has formally warned a coach who slapped a female athlete hard in the face twice to prepare her for an Olympic bout. This is not any good news because this German coach needs to be reprimanded and, of course, even suspended, if you ask me. He's
been reprimanded, and it's quite... Well,
bizarre.
It's bizarre, really bizarre, but then it has a little twist of it's quite funny in itself. When you understand that the athlete has actually come out to defend the coach, then it gets your mind wondering. Judo Federation are putting out a strong statement. We know that we preach against violence in sports and in every other aspect of life. There is no room for violence. And what he did was a display of violence. Whatever the reason was a display of violence. You don't in a time and age where we're advocating for women's rights, we're advocating for equality and inclusion of women, and to see more respect given out to females, you don't slap a female athlete. If it was probably a female coach slapping a female athlete, it wouldn't be such much of a deal. But this is a male coach slapping a female athlete.
There's a twist to this. The athlete, the female athlete has come out, via Instagram to say that she requested of that coach to slap her, so as to pump her into action on the mat.
Yeah, we see athletes. We get to see athletes do a lot of things to get them in the mood to compete. We see some of them bang their hands on their head. We see some of them pump their fists. And this might be a pre-game, pre-match ritual for her and her coach. They might have that understanding between them. But then we're talking about it being put on display. You can do that maybe in your locker room, if that's what you want, because we know we have to respect her rights as well. If that's what she wants, then she gets what she wants. But then you don't do that publicly to the display of everybody, because it's when a male slaps a female, it comes under scrutiny. It puts the entire judo federation, it puts the entire judo sport of judo under scrutiny as something that encourages such kind of behavior. She understands that she requested for such an act from her coach, but the young lady watching at home from Africa or from the Americas does not understand that. What she sees, what that young lady sees, is a woman being physically abused by a man. And that's the message that the Judo Federation is trying to avoid. It rubs off on the sport of judo, the Judo Federation, and the Olympic Games as well. We don't need this at the Tokyo Olympic Games. It has already come up under a lot of criticism, and this is not one you want to add, because sooner or later you get to see advocates for women's rights come at you, and then they don't want to understand, because, like I said, it's passing a message. Not everybody knows that it was the pre-arrangement between her and her coach. No, but everybody knows that they had that understanding. What everybody saw was a male coach hitting a female athlete twice, and that's not acceptable.
Well, that request did not satisfy the International Judo Federation, who issued a warning a day after the incident that shocked Olympic viewers, as they said it was a serious warning, and the German coach must stay away from such bad behavior, stating that judo is an educational sport and as such cannot tolerate such behavior. We hope that it will not, but yes, she lost, and most people are beginning to ask, was it that the slaps were not strong enough to really pump her into winning her bout?
Yeah, she actually came out after the loss and said, well, maybe the slaps were not enough. That's to show you that there was really no feeling of animosity between her and her coach. But then, for the sake of the public, those kind of acts are not permitted ever.
Well, from one misdemeanor from the German coach to yet another one, because this time around, the sporting director of the German Cycling Federation has been told to return home from the Tokyo Olympic Games after being caught on camera making racist remarks during Wednesday men's Olympic road time trial. This was against an Eritrean and I think against an Algerian.
It's the worst news we've heard from the Olympic Games so far. We've heard a lot of bad news from the Olympic Games. We've heard of athletes pulling out because of COVID. We've heard of athletes pulling out, like the case of the Ugandan weightlifter because they absconded. We've heard a lot of stories, and a lot of them have been disappointing, but this ranks on the top of the list. It is the worst story coming out of Tokyo. Racism has no place in sports. Racism has no place in sports, and definitely not at the Olympic Games where we're seeing a refugee team being allowed to compete. You do not come and start making racist remarks against whosoever. He's come out to tell us that those remarks were made in the heat of the moment. But when you refer to human beings, when you refer to other athletes as camel drivers, that is the worst. That is the lowest of lows that it could be. And I don't think being sent home is enough for him. I think he should have his license revoked as a coach in cycling. I think he should be banned from every other sporting activities because what he did was completely and totally disgraceful and unacceptable.
Interestingly, back home in Germany, it has been condemned, and they said this is not acceptable, especially at the biggest sporting event around the world, which is the Olympic Games. And so he's had apologized, but we'll see how that one will be in the days ahead. Meanwhile, American Caleb Dressel has won gold with a new time at the 100 meters swimming event. This is cheering news. An Olympic record being broken at the Games in Tokyo.
Caleb, at his first Olympic Games, he's one of the favorites when it comes to swimming in the men's, especially in the short distance swims, the 50 meters, 100 meters, 200 meters, and even 400 meters. He's a top lad. He's a top competitor. The Americans see him as the natural successor to the great Michael Phelps, and that's what we've been talking about here in Nigeria. We need to groom those that will be natural successors to our great athletes. We've talked about Funke Oshonaike leaving the tennis scene any moment from now. We need to know who the next Funke Oshonaike is. For the Americans, they know who the next Michael Phelps is, and it's Caleb Dressel, and he is not disappointing at all. This is his first individual gold medal. He won 2 gold medals at the Olympics in 2016, but those were in the team events. For the first time, he has his personal gold medal at the Olympics, and it was quite a swim, because in that pool you had the defending Olympic champion and the world champion from Australia in that pool, and he was able, right from the goal, he was able to defeat the Australian Kyle Chalmers to win gold in a new time. It was just a little bit of slim margin, but then it's a new Olympic record.
Talking about slim margin, it was 0.06 seconds between Dressel and, of course, the former Olympic champion from Australia, Chalmers, who returned a time of 47.08. Well, we'll see how that one pans out. But the Russian, you talked about Russia being represented by athletes, but that was for Russian Olympic committee, and so we saw one Russian there, getting a bronze medal, though not for Russia as a country, but as a committee. Meanwhile, Dressel has already won, like Mary did mention, a team event, that's the 4x100 meters free relay, and now has won a second gold in an individual event. Interestingly, he has 4 more events to compete in the pool at Tokyo, and if he does win all 4, it means that he will be taking home about 6 gold medals, and that is what you bring to swimming, because in swimming there are several medals, and so if you are very good at it, you can get it, because right now it's favorite to win the free 50 meters freestyle, and of course the 100 meters freestyle as well. This will be something you need to add, because he is being registered for the mixed medley and the 4x100 meters medley relay event in Tokyo, Japan. The new Michael Phelps, Caleb Dressel for the United States of America. Let's go for a very short break. When we return, we'll bring you stories concerning the NBA draft. We've told you that the seasons were announced yesterday, and today is the draft game. And so we'll see who is being drafted to be part of the NBA in the United States of America. We'll be back. Stay with us.
From the line across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring all sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today. On ATN.
Welcome back. It is Atlantic Sports Extraordinary, and I can tell you now we'll take a shift away from the Olympic Games and get to basketball, where it is NBA 2021 draft day in NBA in the United States of America, and at least 3 players of Nigerian descent have been tipped to be selected in the 2021 NBA draft schedule to hold at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, that's in New York. 3 players: Usman Garuba, Charles Bassey, and Ayo Dosunmu. We are told that Garuba and Dosunmu are all projected in the first. And then, of course, in the second round selection, we have Dosunmu as well. Merit, it is last time we were around at the NBA draft, we had 9 Nigerians, being selected into top teams in the NBA. Now we are having 2 being selected. We understand one of them, Garuba, who became the youngest starter in Madrid history in 2019 at the age of just 17. Now he's leaving Europe and going to the biggest stage of basketball.
Is that quite a glittering career, the man Garuba? He is currently at the Olympic Games, representing Spain at the Olympic Games. And when a 19-year-old is already at the Olympic Games representing one of the biggest basketball nations in the world, it shows you the quality that he has. We're looking forward to a lot of excitement. He's projected to be a first-round pick in the NBA draft. The NBA draft has been where we've seen a lot of bright prospects, the next generation stars. A lot of the top players in NBA today, in basketball today, came through the draft process and they were drafted. Some of them the first round, some of them the second round. Like we saw last time, we saw Precious Achiuwa being drafted by the Miami Heat, Nigeria's Rivers State, Port Harcourt's son. Precious Achiuwa drafted, and he has been putting up good performances for the Heat. We also have the likes of Jordan Walker, who was drafted. A lot of Nigerians drafted in the NBA drafts last year. We're seeing 3 this time around, and these 3 are have quite a lot of quality. Ayo, on the other hand, Ayo Dosunmu, he is one of the best players in Chicago in high school basketball and also college basketball in Chicago. He's one of the best players that we've seen there. In the case of Charles Bassey is the only one out of the 3.
Is based in
was born and raised in Nigeria.
And interestingly about him, I understand he He was playing football up to the age of 12 before he had to switch to basketball.
We've seen a lot of athletes do have this switch in their careers. You start up with something, and then along the line you switch interest, your interest shifts, and then you get into another sport, like what we know of Roger Federer, who started as a football player and then ended up playing lawn tennis and being one of the greatest tennis players of all time. And for him, he's left Nigeria and he's gone to the United States of America, gone through the college, gone through high school and college, and now he's finally with a shot of making it to the NBA. It's exciting whenever we see this. It tells of the quality that we have here in Nigeria, not just the Nigerians that are born outside the country, but the Nigerians that are born here in Nigeria, as in the case of Charles Bassey. We have a lot of talents here. The breeding ground for these talents are not very favorable back here at home, so they move abroad and then they still give a good representation of themselves. It's sharing to see these three guys, and I'll be keeping an eye out for the NBA drafts, and I'm sure we'll be able to report tomorrow which teams they get drafted for.
Well, talking about the NBA draft, it is 2021 NBA draft day in the United States of America. A couple of hours from now, we'll see 3 Nigerians being drafted, and we'll see whether they'll be going to some of the biggest basketball teams in the United States of America. Don't worry, we saw 9 drafted last time. Now it's 3. But the most important thing is that Nigerian descent will be at the NBA, which is the biggest basketball competition in the world. From basketball, we'll go to football, and I can tell you this morning that match day 36 at the Nigerian Professional Football League were concluded a couple of hours ago, and Abia Warriors was one of the biggest scorers on the night because they beat Adamawa United, already relegated, by 5-1.
Adamawa United already condemned to the relegation. They already condemned to the NNL. And Abia Warriors, what a statement to make. It's like, I hope it's not the case of too little, too late for them, because they've had a lot of opportunities to get such good results when they play at home. As a matter of fact, in the match days from between match day 29 to match day 32, they lost all fixtures. They did not pick a point whether home or away, and that could come back to haunt them. But we've seen them taking their destinies in their own hand this time around. They played at home, and they were able to make home advantage count. 4-1. When you're battling relegation right now, every point and every goal is really crucial.
Abia Warriors on the fringe of relegation, if you ask me. Dakata playing at home in Uyo, played out a goalless draw with Nasarawa United. Rangers International beat Katsina United at the theatre in Enugu, while Ifeanyi Ubah had a game of their life. They are one of the teams to be in the relegation zone with just about 3 matches to go. But Aqua United went there and made a very strong statement at claiming the Nigerian Professional Football League title for this season.
They went there knowing, yeah, they went there knowing that 3 points will guarantee them their first ever MPFL title. They didn't have to risk it too much. They didn't have to risk too much because, you know, you have 2 more games and you play 1 at home, you play 1 away from home. And if you do not lose, if they didn't lose, they knew that if they didn't lose yesterday, they had the opportunity of tying it up, wrapping it up at home. And what better way to win your first league title than to win it at home? They will be returning back home now, knowing that any point, if they can get just 1 point at home or just 1 point for the remaining 2 fixtures, they will be confirmed as MPFL champions for the 2020-2021 season. I think it's well deserved by Aqua United.
In the other results, Ijigawa Golden Stars played a 1-1 draw with Warri Wolves. Kwara United beat Kano Pillars by 1-0. It was 1-1 between Lubi Stars and Enyimba International. Rivers United played a 2-2 draw with Mountain of Fire. Sunshine Stars beat Plateau by 3-2. Wiki Torres beat Hadland by 4-2. And let's bring you some football stories that is across the Atlantic. We understand the Football Association and Premier League have issued a new guidelines to clubs regarding headers. Now, if you have to head ball, you have to be very careful. Aftermath of one of their top players in 1960, having issues of dementia. So now they are saying that training sessions should have limited number of headers.
While it is a welcome development, while it's a move that shows that they care about the health and the well-being of the players, it's one that I don't think it's necessary, because football is not a sport where you see a high level of incidents involving the head. We know that it's in rugby. We see those kind of things in rugby. We see it in boxing. The most interesting part of it is, how do they keep track of the number of headers? They've talked about it being limited to 10. And like we were discussing yesterday, what if you've had your 10th header and you have the opportunity to head the ball off your goal line? Do you start counting? Do you keep count? Or do you get penalized for making that 11th header?
You give an excuse why you didn't head the ball off the line. Meanwhile, let's go to transfer story. And Chelsea have signed goalkeeper Marcos Bettinelli on a free transfer. This was only yesterday. The 29-year-old left nearby West London side Fulham And I think he's made over 100 appearances for his former club. Let's see how many appearances he will make for Chelsea in the next 2 years, because he has a 2-year contract. And I can tell you, if you're Edward Mendy and Kepa Arrizabalaga, then you have to watch it, because a new goalkeeper is on your trail. Time for us to bring you our sports extraordinary, and it couldn't have been any other person than Caleb Dressel, the American swimmer, who has made a new Olympic record in the 100 meters. He's
a record breaker. I think I would be right if I say he was born a record breaker. When you understand that we've had the great Michael Phelps from the United States of America doing it big in 50 meters and 100 meters at the Olympic Games, and then you look at Caleb Dressel, a young man that has broken the national record for the United States of America in 50 meters freestyle 3 times. He's broken the national record for 50 meters butterfly 3 times in the same event where Michael Phelps competed, and he's broken the 100-meter freestyle record for the United States of America 3 times. He's won 15 world championships. He has 13 gold medals at World Aquatics Championship. This is a man that is primed for success. He won 4 gold medals at the previous Olympic. He's won 2 gold medals at the previous Olympic Games. He's won 2 now with an option of a further 4. That is a world star in the making, and he deserves to be our sports extraordinary of today.
Talking about Caleb Dressel with a new Olympic record in the pool. I like to call him the pool dynamo, because he has a chance. He's won 2 gold medals already. He has a chance of winning 4 more, and that will be a total of 6 gold medals. I'm not sure that there are so many athletes at the Olympic Games that will take home as many as 6 gold medals at the end of the day. But we'll keep our fingers crossed. What do I know? I can tell you that it's a record-breaking Olympic Games that is ongoing at the Tokyo Olympic Games. Thanks for joining us. You can follow us on our social media handle on Facebook and YouTube. It is at Atlantic Television Network, and on Instagram it is Atlantic TV Network. Enjoy the rest of your day on Atlantic Network Television.
I remain committed to the United Kingdom leaving.
Since I became Prime Minister, I've said we must get on and get Brexit done on October the 31st so that this country can move on.
Sir, my amendment is that Mr. President should be invited to come and explain the situation.
For the Nigerian government to stop killing its people